Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport for what is a frustrating review to make because the Lions have gone down against STADE Francais 17 points to 7, and a frustrating game because the Lions started really well and probably should have and maybe even could have, well, not could have and maybe should have rather won that game. And it's the age-old story, isn't it? It's just almost like watching the Boxers a little bit in the first half in terms of lots of good momentum, a lot of opportunity, but not being able to convert those opportunities to points. Johnny Lombard didn't leave 6 points out there off the kicking tee, which would have got the Lions a bonus point. So a bit frustrating. But I think more frustrating than that is just not capitalizing on extended amounts of pressure, on extended periods within STADE Francais half. And it's becoming a bit of a Lions issue where they can have really good phases and they can have really good moments and periods during a match, but not able to capitalize. And after that first half performance, you're thinking, right, well, they're in the game. And then the second half, it all kind of just capitulated. 3 yellow cards. We were down to 13 men for about 8 minutes as well, which never helps anything. And as I pull a couple of stats. So a frustrating game, it must be said. In terms of what happened, Johnny Lombard missed a penalty early in the 8th minute, but Emmanuel Tuka eventually went over in the 14th minute for the Lions. Johnny Lombard nailing the conversion, then missing a penalty. So he could have been 13-0 up, which would have been far fairer. Alex Hirata then getting a yellow card in the 32nd minute. Lions not able to capitalize for that. But Johnny Lombard got a yellow card in the 52nd. It was a little bit harsh. JP Smith following into his footsteps in the 54th minute. And then Henk van Beek getting a late yellow card in the 67th minute. That's what I'm saying. So we were never up to a full contingent. And just dreadful in the second half, it must be said. Very, very poor. If you look at some of the stats, STADE Francais with 54%, 56% possession overall, but 70% possession in the second half. They also had 62% territory overall, and they had 79% in the second half. We lived in our own half, and that was kind of a problem. We couldn't get out of our own half. STADE Francais kind of just parked there, won a couple of penalties, kicked a couple of kicks over, and did the business. If we look at some of the other stats, for example, STADE Francais beating 19 defenders to the Lions 9, 3 clean breaks to 1. Lions actually with more gain line carries, with more offloads from STADE Francais, same amount of turnovers, more kicks from hand from STADE Francais, for example. If you look at tackles made, Lions missing 20 out of 95, which is 79% success rate. Not really good enough, is it? STADE Francais, on the other hand, making 83 of 93 at an 89% tackle success rate. 33% goal success rate has been annoying. Missing 2. STADE Francais also missing 2 kicks as well, to be fair. Line outs for the Lions, losing 1. STADE Francais also losing 1. Scrums, 4 out of 5 for the Lions, 10 out of 11 for STADE Francais. I thought the scrums were actually very good for the Lions up until that yellow card to JP Smith, and again they all fell apart. But discipline at the end of the day, conceding 11 penalties in the match to STADE Francais 7. I actually don't know if STADE Francais conceded a penalty in the second half, genuinely. And then 3 yellow cards to 1, which is the big difference. In terms of some players who I thought stood up, I thought Asanati and Clover Kanya once again had a very industrious game. Made 7 tackles, didn't miss 1, 4 carries. Thought he tackled pretty well as well. Thought Emil van Heerden worked pretty hard. He managed to got through a lot of work. 12 carries, 6 tackles as well. In the back line, not much to speak of, to be perfectly honest. I thought Henk van Beek was awful. Thought Maurice Lowe was really poor. Johnny Lombard had a bit of a nightmare of a game. So it was annoying. It was very annoying and frustrating that we couldn't just capitalize early and put the pressure back on STADE Francais. And once you sort of go behind and you've got no players on the pitch, literally, because you've got yellow cards, just always in one way. A bit frustrating not to really use the bench. I would like to see more of JC Pretorius. I would like to see what some of the other players could do. Something like Siba Siso Sangweni, which I don't think we've really seen enough of him this season. But another annoying game as the Lions really struggle to try and find some results and need to find a run of form. A lot of injuries at the moment, so got to get through next week. Have a bit of a break and try and get a lot of players back because you can just see they just can't compete at the moment. And that wasn't a bad performance in the first. That's what I'm saying. A game of 2 halves, really, which is the old cliche. But it was, the first half they played well and the pack actually fronted up quite nicely. Second half, it all kind of just fell apart. But let me know what you thought about the game down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.